Good morning. I was not going to do a live today. However, when the universe aligns itself and information is presented to you, and it is of utmost importance that everybody has this information, then you got to go live. And here I am going live. It's October 30th, 2020. I'm John Swanson, and here in my hands, I have a 4-page open letter to the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, dated Sunday, October 25th, 2020. Regardless of who the president is, it's addressed to the president. Mr. President, allow me to address you at this hour in which the fate of the whole world is being threatened by a global conspiracy against God and humanity. I write to you as an archbishop, as a successor of the apostles, as the former apostolic nuncio to the United States of America. I am writing to you in the midst of the silence of both civil and religious authorities. May you accept these words of mine as the voice of one crying out in the desert. As I said when I wrote my letter to you in June, this historical moment sees the forces of evil aligned in a battle without quarter against the forces of good, forces of evil that appear powerful and organized as they oppose the children of light, who are disoriented and disorganized, abandoned by their temporal and spiritual leaders. Daily we sense the attacks multiplying of those who want to destroy the very basis of society, the natural family, respect for human life, love of country, freedom of education and business. We see the heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to the suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of health emergency. It is revealing itself more and more fully as the instrumental to the establishment of an inhumane, faceless tyranny. A global plan called the Great Reset is underway, which it is. The IMF has discussed this. It is on the cover of Time magazine. They have been discussing a universal basic income for almost 10 years now on multiple platforms. They have been pre-programming this into the human consciousness. A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all of humanity, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations. In several nations, this plan has already been approved and financed. In others, it is still in early stages. Behind the world leaders who are the accomplices and executors of this infernal project, there are unscrupulous characters who finance the World Economic Forum and Event 201 promoting their agenda. This is all valid data and information. If you are not aware of the World Economic Forum, go research it. If you don't know what Event 201 is, go research it. These are not conspiracies. These are facts. Just because you haven't been told by the six media conglomerates that own 99% of all the television stations and magazines and news, just because they haven't really directly told you this, it's happening. Again, they've been talking about a universal basic income. They've been talking about a Great Reset for years now. The purpose of the Great Reset is the imposition of a health dictatorship aiming at the imposition of liberticidal measures, hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring a universal income and canceling individual debt. First off, you don't need money to live. The system wants you to have money. You don't need money to live, right? And debt is an illusion, okay? The price of these concessions from the International Monetary Fund will be the renunciation of private property and adherence to a program of vaccination against COVID-19 and COVID-21, which they haven't told you about COVID-21 yet, but it's coming. Lockdown number 2 is coming because you're not standing up for your rights. You're not questioning what's going on. And it's hard, especially when we have family and friends and loved ones who might work in the medical industry or might be a part of this. And they're spending a lot of time researching and investigating and trying to do everything they can to save lives. But at the same time, we're not realizing that all these people are compartmentalized. And that's how they built the atom bomb. All the greatest scientists and minds on the world all worked on their separate part and piece of the atom bomb and had no idea they were building the atomic bomb until it was detonated. And once they figured that out, they felt horrible. COVID-21, promoted by Bill Gates with the collaboration of the main pharmaceutical groups. Beyond the enormous economic interests that motivate the promoters of the Great Reset, the imposition of the vaccination will be accompanied by the requirement of a health passport and a digital identification. With the consequent contact tracing, oh wow, I just saw something yesterday here locally, Fox 31 blasting something out about this app that 500,000 Colorado citizens have downloaded just so you can find out if you've been next to somebody who's been sick or not. It's not what it's for. They're tracking and tracing your moves. They want to know where you're at. Tracing of the population of the entire world. Those who do not accept these measures will be confined in detention camps or placed under house arrest, and all their assets will be confiscated. They started this play years ago, and it's called the Patriot Act. They can come and take whatever they want from whoever they want without any criminal conviction, without any criminal charges, with the Patriot Act. So it exists, and I know because it happened to my family and to me and to my business and everybody around me. It's disgusting. Mr. President, I imagine that you are already aware that in some countries the Great Reset will be activated between the end of this year and the first trimester of 2021. For this purpose, further lockdowns are planned, which will be officially justified by a supposed second and third wave of the pandemic. They misspelled. It's plandemic, but they're calling it a pandemic. You are well aware of the means that they have deployed to sow panic and legitimize draconian limitations on individual liberties. If you're not sure what draconian limitations are or what draconian rule is, go research that because it's real. It's not a conspiracy. Okay? This is a long-term play. On individual liberties, artfully provoking a worldwide economic crisis. Again, that's what we're experiencing with C-19, right? They'll shut the whole globe down. And you're afraid of something you can't see, the invisible enemy, but you're not aware that tuberculosis affects 2 billion people on this planet at one time. 2 billion people. And it kills hundreds of millions globally, but we never shut down the planet for tuberculosis. And it's in all the prisons in America. And they don't let people out of prison for tuberculosis, right? But C-19 is a good excuse to let rapists and murderers and killers out of prison. But not tuberculosis. Come on, people. Self-research. Draconian limitations on individual liberties, artfully provoking a worldwide economic crisis. In the intentions of its architects, this crisis will serve to make the recourse of nations to the Great Reset irreversible, thereby giving the final blow to a world whose existence and very memory they want to completely cancel. But this world, Mr. President, includes people, affections, institutions, faith, culture, traditions, and ideals. People and values that do not act like automations, who do not obey like machines, because they are endowed with a soul and a heart, because they are tied together by a spiritual bond that draws its strength from above, from that God that our adversaries want to challenge, just as Lucifer did at the beginning of time with his non serviam. Many people, as we well know, are annoyed by this reference to the clash between good and evil and the use of apocalyptic overtones. Apocalypse. That word in its etymology, in its Greek meaning, means to unveil, means to show, to remove the covering. That's what apocalypse means. Hollywood has put this idea that it's this horrible, horrible thing and all these bad things happen. Well, the bad things are going to happen to the people that are hiding behind the curtain, right? And now the curtain's being drawn. That's what apocalypse means. Apocalyptic overtones, which according to them exasperates spirits and sharpens divisions. It is not surprising that the enemy is angered at being discovered just when he believes he has reached the citadel he seeks to conquer undisturbed. What is surprising, however, is that there is no one to sound the alarm. The reaction of the deep state to those who denounce its plan is broken and incoherent, but understandable. Just when the complicity of the mainstream media has succeeded in making the transition to the New World Order almost painless and unnoticed, all sorts of deceptions, scandals, and crimes are coming to light. Distractions. There's an invisible enemy that you can't see that's supposedly killing all these people, but the death rate's low, really low. The infection rate's really, really low. The recovery rate's really, really high. But then there's these just random cases that just don't make any sense. Huh? Until a few months ago, it was easy to smear conspiracy theorists or critical thinkers, those who denounced these terrible plans, which we now see being carried out down to the smallest detail. No one up until last February would have ever thought in all of our cities citizens would be arrested for simply wanting to walk down the street, to breathe, to want to keep their businesses open, to want to go to church on Sunday. Yet now it is happening all over the world. This is not isolated, people. This is global. If you don't believe this is going down, it can't happen to us, go look at Australia. Go see what's happening in Australia. They're just like the United States, right? Yet now it is happening all over the world, even in a picture postcard Italy that many Americans consider to be a small enchanted country with its ancient monuments, its churches, its charming cities, its characteristics, its villages. And while the politicians are barricaded inside their palaces, promulgating decrees like Persian satraps, businesses are failing, shops are closing, and people are prevented from living, traveling, working, and praying. The disastrous psychological consequences of this operation are already being seen, beginning with the suicides of desperate entrepreneurs and of our children, segregated from friends and classmates, told to follow their classes while sitting at home in front of a computer. The CDC recommended no more than 1 hour screen time for children per day. Now they're forced to have 7 to 8 hours of screen time, okay? We don't think anything's happening. It's happening. At the same time, people are rioting in the streets of Italy, right? As we're sitting here complying, being complacent, social distancing, the riots that are happening in America are funded, and they're divisional riots. The thing that we need to stand up and begin researching. In sacred scripture, St. Paul speaks to the one who opposes the manifestation of mystery and iniquity. In the religious sphere, this obstacle to evil is the church, and in particular, the papacy. In the political sphere, it is those who impede the establishment of the New World Order. As it is now clear, the one who occupies the chair of Peter has betrayed his role from the very beginning in order to defend and promote the globalist ideology supporting the agenda of the deep church, who chose him from its ranks. This is the only time in our history we've had 2 popes at the same time. And one of these popes is just marching quick step forward into all of these agendas that are okie dokie social wise, right? Changing all the doctrine, changing all the rules, and saying it's okay. But at the same time, not validating the signs in the heavens. That is his job as the direct conduit and communicator to God of the heavens and earth and all of creation, right? The Pope is the one man who's supposed to talk to him. Well, on September 12th, 2017, there was a sign in the heavens. The Virgin gave birth. Revelation 12. Just because there's a bunch of people who have been misguided and misled with religion doesn't mean that there's not actual validated and important information in the book. Moving forward, and yes, the Pope did not validate that, which he should have. So he's hiding something, and he's quick step marching into things that are against their doctrine. This is not about social understanding. This is not about anything else. The Vatican rules finance of this earth. Okay? It's not just about religion. It's not just about church. It's about finance. It's about the control of currency, which is the control of energy. For this reason, it is necessary that all people of good will be persuaded of the epochal importance of the imminent election, not so much for the sake of this political program, but because of the general inspiration of your action that best embodies, in this particular historical context, That world, our world, which they want to cancel by the means of lockdown. Your adversary is also your adversary. It is the enemy of the human race. He who is a murderer from the beginning. Cain and Abel. And there's more to just two brothers, right? Around you are gathered with faith and encourage those who consider you the final garrison against the world dictatorship. The alternative is to vote for a person who is manipulated by the deep state, gravely compromised by scandals and corruption, who will not do the United States what Jorge Mario Bergoglio is doing to the church, Prime Minister Conte to Italy, President Macron to France, Prime Minister Sanchez to Spain, and so on. The blackmailable nature of Joe Biden, just like that of the Prelates of the Vatican's magic circle, will expose him to be unscrupulously allowing illegitimate powers to interfere with both domestic politics as well as international balances. It is obvious that those who manipulate him already have had someone worse than him ready, with whom they will replace as soon as the opportunity arises. And yet, in the midst of this bleak picture, this apparently unstoppable advance of this invisible enemy, an element of hope emerges. The adversary does not know how to love, and it does not understand that it is not enough to assure a universal income or to cancel mortgages in order to subjugate the masses and convince them to be branded like cattle. This people, which for far too long has endured the abuses of a hateful and tyrannical power, is rediscovering that it has a soul. It is understanding that it is not willing to exchange its freedom for the homogenization and cancellation of its identity. It is beginning to understand the value of familial and social ties, of the bonds of faith and of culture that unite honest people. The Great Reset is destined to fail because those who planned it do not understand that there are still people ready to take to the streets to defend their rights, to protect their loved ones, to give a future to their children and their grandchildren. The leveling inhumanity of the globalist project will shatter miserably in the face of the firm and courageous opposition of the children of light warriors. The enemy has Satan on its side, he who only knows how to hate, but on our side we have the Lord Almighty, the God of armies arrayed for battle, and the most holy Virgin who will crush the head of the ancient serpent. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. Mr. President, you are well aware that in this crucial hour, the United States of America is considered the defending wall against which the war declared by the advocates of globalism has been unleashed. Place your trust in the Lord, strengthened by the words of the Apostle Paul. I can do all things in him who strengthens me. To be an instrument of divine providence is a great responsibility for which you will certainly receive all the graces of the state you need, since they are being fervently implored for you by the many people who support you with their prayers. With this heavenly hope and assurance of my prayer for you and the First Lady and for your collaborators, with all my heart, I send you my blessings. God bless the United States of America. Carlo Maria Vigano. This is a very important and powerful letter coming from a very important and powerful individual within the Catholic Church. There are so many things that have taken place within the Catholic Church over the last 2,000 years. There has been good, there has been evil. There have been so many different aspects that have taken place. And in this current time frame, we have two popes living. We have a black pope, we have a white pope. The pope that is being presented is not what we are being shown. There is information out there. If you're willing to go look for it and research it to find the truth about what's going on, they are trying to march us into the New World Order. This is no conspiracy. George Bush Sr. at the United Nations years and years and years ago got up on the big stage and talked about the 1,000 points of light and the New World Order, right? Bill Clinton, New World Order. George Bush Jr., New World Order. Trump, I don't know, New World Order, right? The only people who are going to save us are us. And it comes down to having the knowledge of who and what we truly are individually. We're not piddly little humans. If you're not familiar with who Hermes is, or who Thoth is, or the great Trismegistus, the Hermetica, you need to go pick that up and read it. There's an abridged version. You should really pick it up and read it, because every religion that we have on this earth in the Holy See, and that's what the Vatican thinks of the planet, is we're the Holy See, right? And I wasn't going to talk about ships or any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to make a quick note. Unless you know who and what you truly are, you are a ship lost at sea, and the system of whichever government you're under currently, that they're trying to march us into a new world order, if you're lost at sea, you will give over anything and everything so that they can control you, because you don't know how to navigate this reality. And that's what it comes down to. COVID-19, COVID-21's on the way. I'm not a future predictor. This is their plans, and they put it out in front of us. It's happening. We can either stand up and say enough, we can research these things, or we can just go ahead and give over all of our power, all of our rights, everything over to this beast system that does not care for anyone except itself, and will lie and tell you anything for you to give you its power. It will lie and tell you anything for you to say, okay, make the agony stop, make the pain stop, make the death stop. All these years later, none of it stopped. And it's just compoundingly getting worse, but we're willing to trade more of our freedoms for false security. It has to stop. They haven't done what they said they were going to do. Plandemic. Remember AIDS? Remember HIV? Oh, we're gonna raise billions and billions of dollars, and we're gonna beat AIDS and HIV. But then we figured out if we just give people medicine, we can make billions more off of just keeping them sick. AIDS and HIV was made in a lab by humans. Same with this nonsense. They have the cure. They're keeping it from us. Wake up. Don't be afraid, because if you're afraid, you're gonna die in your house. And you're going to give all your rights away, and then our children and our grandchildren won't know what freedom is. We are on the last edge of freedom, and we've had all those rights eroded. Driver's licenses. Supreme Court of the United States ruled in the 1970s that a driver's license is a violation of our constitutional rights. But instead of the media telling the public, Hollywood just makes a bunch of movies about turning 16 and getting your driver's license. And you're too dumb to go research it, because this is the way it's always been and this is the way it's always gonna be. No, it's gonna get compoundingly fucking worse if you don't go out there and look for information, if you don't research for yourself, if you don't question the things that are going on, because this is not isolated. This is global. And the only time something happens globally is if somebody's behind the marionettes pulling the strings, and they're there, but, that's a conspiracy. No, it's not. It's called critical thinking. And if you don't think it's going on, then you know what? March your ass up into the New World Order. You catch me in a concentration camp. Till next time, I'm John Swanson.